That's true. No, it was the perfect game. We flipped over in time for Baxter to see the perfect game get smashed by the Astros, and then Baxter lost it. Just vomited all over the bedroom floor. So, good times. And I'm wondering, you're not supposed to jinx a no-hitter. You don't talk about it, blah, 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 blah. If a dog throws up in your bedroom as a perfect game is being broken up, what jinx is that? Am I in trouble in the bedroom? I mean, is it going to be one of those deals? Am I jinxed in the bedroom now or something? I'm just trying to figure out exactly where this is going to, how this affects me. That's the main thing here, Christy. How does this affect me? Baxter throwing up at the exact time that a perfect game was broken up. I'm telling you, man, I'm worried. I'm a little worried. I am a little concerned. And this comes on the heels of a great evening by the sports wife and I. So we go to Jimmy V's, and it was an absolute perfect day. We're sitting out in the patio area. The garage doors are up. Justin, I believe, was our waiter. I believe Justin was his name. Very good waiter. And I'm not a big margarita on the rocks guy. I'm usually a frozen margarita guy. But I had a margarita on the rocks last night. My gosh, was it great. That was a tasty margarita at Jimmy V's. But here's where it gets into the good parts here, boys and girls. I've been telling you guys to get the fajitas at Jimmy V's for a long time. Here's why. I ordered the fajitas. $11.99 for fajitas. I had enough steak on my sizzling plate. And you want to hear, I have audio of the fajitas being brought out. Sound delicious, don't they?
It sounds like crumbling paper for some reason.
No, it was sizzling fajitas. I was my iPhone had a little glitch last night. I guess the audio wasn't crystal clear. Justin brings out these fajitas to the table, and I look at the amount, and I'm like, I didn't order the fajitas for two. The Guy Pile line, 318 Guy Pile. I'm going to go to ABC first, and I'll read you a text here about the Rutgers situation. ABC, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Barry Gordy, by the way, the head of Motown Records, who signed Michael Jackson in the Jackson 5, has a musical on Broadway right now, Motown. That would be cool. That's an amazing sound, the Motown sound from the day. And how many stars Barry Gordy made. Good morning, ABC. What you doing today?
I'm good. I just think with the Rutgers thing, I mean, it's just, man, that guy got to be fired. You can't degrade players anymore, students or whatever you want to call it. I mean, and if you look since I think 2006, Rutgers had a lot of players transfer out. I begin to wonder sometimes, why kids are transferring. It might be because the coaches are treating them wrong, and I begin to wonder at a lot of other programs.
Well, it's happening. It happens everywhere, man. Yesterday, I think West Virginia had 3 kids transfer out. I think. Yeah, Penn. 3 guys transferred. Aaron Brown. 2 other guys transferred as well from West Virginia yesterday. Blaming playing time, but still, it happens.
Right, and I just think that athlete, he got to be fired too.
Yeah, and Rutgers, he's the one that was shown the damning evidence of Mike Rice being physically abusive, being verbally abusive, and then decided that 3-game suspension and a $50,000 fine would be sufficient. That's just not cool.
And here's another thing I wanted to ask. The O'Bannon case, I didn't realize all the revenue money that's in some of these colleges get. I think that should go to some of the players across, because some of these players don't have, the scholarship don't cover everything. I get tired of everybody saying the scholarship cover everything, and it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. There are still shortfalls at the end, That's why these kids on the weekend, you'll hear about a group of kids that are on, full schollies. What did you guys do this weekend? Well, we kind of hung out in the dorm, hung out in our apartment. We got to put our money together and got a pizza. It happens. I know of a local athlete who was trying to get back to his university here during the spring break. And he was like, I'm trying to find enough money to fly back, but, anybody want to help? Seriously, I really don't have enough money to fly back. And these kids, a lot of them don't have a whole lot of structure back in their household. A lot of them don't come from a socioeconomic status that allows them the freedom to get to and fro at the drop of a hat and a quick call to mommy or daddy to put, $300 in the bank so they can buy an airline ticket. That's just that's a pipe dream.
And Mark Emmert, he got to resign.
Mark Emmert's absolutely he is a guy in a rudderless ship. It is not cool. It is not cool what is going on with the NCAA. It's not cool with what the investigation in Miami was an absolute disaster. So, and now USA Today decided to turn their spotlight and their reporting onto the history of Mark Emmert, and it is not very. It's not a glowing recommendation that they give Mark Emmert as the NCAA president.
All right, I'll let some other callers come on.
You the man.
You have a great day.
You too, buddy. This portion of the Tim Fletcher Show is supported by our friends over at Landers Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, the LDCJR, getting it done, son. You name an award, the Ram pick-em-up truck has won the award. It has won Motor Trend Magazine, pick out a North American Truck of the Year. It's won Spanish Magazine Truck of the Year. It's the Texas Truck of the Year. It's everybody's truck of the year. And here's the reason why, Chris D, is that not only is the Ram truck still a Ram truck with its payload, its towing capacity, its everything that you want out of a manly truck, it's still there. But oh, by the way, they've dropped in this really sleek new V6 into it that pumps out the power but also generates 25 miles per gallon. So you basically now have the best of both worlds in a truck. 25 miles per gallon, which is about 7, 8, 9, 10 miles per gallon, really, over what you are accustomed to getting in a 1500 or a truck of that ilk. Well, now the Ram is giving you the ability to pass by a few more gas pumps on the way to your job, on the way to that heavy lifting and workload that's in your future. The Ram truck is the perfect truck for every job out there. Where are you going to find a Ram truck at the best deal in the world? I'll tell you where. Landers, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram. Go Landers.com. The Guy Pile line. As a coach, you must understand that every kid is different. The good coaches figure this out. Some you can yell at. The other kid makes the same mistake, you have to pat them on the back. You must earn respect before you demand respect. Okay? I get that. I get that. And I know that. I've witnessed that as a player. I've witnessed that as a sports broadcaster going to practices. I know this stuff, man, that you've got to treat some kids differently. The kids react in a different way. When I was in high school, my high school coach, Tom Ed Gooden, who I found out this week is not dead. Yeah, I thought he had died about a few years ago. Talking to my good buddy Nat Grubbs, he said Tom Ed was nearly, he was on death's door and has bounced back and is alive and well. I need to find him because he was a really neat guy. And he was a big religious guy. All three of our coaches played together. Three of our four coaches we had in high school played together at Harding University, a Church of Christ school. So these guys were, very godly men. There was no cursing. There was a lot of yelling. A lot of gall dang it's, gosh darn it, son of a snickerbar, that kind of stuff. But Coach Gooden, for whatever reason, and I know that if he remembered, he would regret this as well, trying to make me into an option quarterback when I had a bazooka and no speed. I really, didn't have a bazooka. But I could throw the football pretty well and throw it a long way, just had a difficult time throwing to the right people. Other colored jerseys guys got in my way too many times. But we would run the option sometimes, and we had running backs that were slow and tiny. So it didn't make sense, but that's what we ran. And I would make the wrong read on an option, and Coach Gooden would grab me by my face mask in practice and jerk my head around. Fletcher, you got blah, 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 blah. Sorry, Coach. Sorry, Coach. Sorry, Coach. If you went up to somebody at your accounting office, at your engineering office, and grabbed them by their shirt collar and jerked them around like that because they left the toner and didn't replace the toner in their printer, you would probably get sent home. HR would, reprimand you, and you'd have a file in your, a black mark in your file and all this good stuff, and it would be detrimental to your career there. But a coach can get away with that, and my dad was not one of those dads who would show up like other dads and hang around outside the fence and watch practice and try to, be a buddy-buddy with a coach. But my dad knew that Coach Gooden would yell at me sometimes and, grab me by my shirt and grab me by the shoulder pads and grab me by my face mask and stuff. He never complained about it. I never complained about it. I knew I'd made a mistake. I knew that I'd goofed up on the football field. I did make the wrong read. And so I deserved to be yelled at. And I deserved to be grabbed by the face mask. I never once thought, man, Coach Gooden this is out of hand. This is not good. He's abusing me. My self-esteem is suffering. Now, in basketball, it was a different story. I had a coach. I started as a sophomore in high school, started as a junior, started as a senior. Played all 3 years of high school basketball. And so the expectation was there from my coach for me to do better than I guess I was doing many, many times. I was the kid that he made an example of in practice, me and another kid, Joe Cordy, who's now the assistant attorney general in Arkansas. What am I doing with my life? Sitting there talking to Chris D and you guys. I feel like I am blessed.
That's an honor.
He needs to be looking at me and going, golly, what have I done in my life? Fletcher's talking to Chris D and a really good group of fellows and ladies driving around in Shreveport, Bossier, the Arklatex, Tyler, Texas, to Vicksburg, Mississippi, to Hot Springs, Arkansas, to Crotch Springs. And I'm sitting up here deciding cases before the Arkansas Supreme Court. I've got to get in broadcasting. That's what Joe Cordy is saying right now. But Coach French was a berater. He was a guy that he didn't go to a Church of Christ school. I don't know what church he went to, but whatever church it was, I think it was the Church of the Poisoned Mind. He was, that's a Culture Club song, by the way. Church of the Poisoned Mind. Christy is now looking for Church of the Poisoned Mind. He would yell, and he would call me everything under the sun. He would call me the P word. He would call me the MF word. He would say, Fletcher, you effing idiot. There we go. Give me time to realize my crime.
Actually, that is, do you really want to hurt me?
Do you really want to hurt me? You're getting there, though. It's close. It's Culture Club. That's a great song, buddy. This is a great song. I love Culture Club, man. It was absolutely awesome. Don't try to compliment a girl by saying she looks like she could be Boy George's sister. Anyway, Coach French was a guy that would call me everything under the sun. And I did come home a couple of times and tell Mom and Dad, man, Coach French today, he would pull me by my shirt and, get in my face and like an inch, nose to nose, and be swearing at me in a way that makes me feel like I'm, a prisoner of war. Not to take that back. That's way over the line. It made me feel like I was, less than human, I should say. Less than what I was, which is a high school junior and senior. And there were times I'd come home like, man, this sucks. I love playing basketball, man. I love playing basketball. To this day, I love playing basketball. I really loved it in high school. And he was killing that. He was extinguishing that flame in because he was such a jackass. And eventually I did tell my parents that, Coach French is just, he is riding me too much. And no one else gets treated this way. I bust my butt in practice. I'm diving for loose balls. I'm taking the charges. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not a gunner, which of course I made up for later on in life. I am a gunner now when I play basketball. You throw it to me, you're not getting the ball back. It's going toward the rim. I'm shooting the basketball. They call me the white hole. Once it goes in, it ain't coming out.
I remember in baseball, they called me the judge.
Because?
I used to preside over the bench.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Serious, too.
That's not bad. And, so Mom and Dad, were not very happy about this. And so one day I'm at practice, and we played in a gym that had a sunken floor. Like the bleachers were about 10 feet above us. It was a new gym and stuff, and so you couldn't really see up into the bleachers unless you were at one side of the court. You could look up in the other side of the floor and look, but it was dark. But one day in practice, Coach French is letting me have it. I mean, just letting me have it. and I just noticed out of the corner of my eye a shadow moving up in the rafters there in the upper thing of the gym. And I looked, and I was like, I think that was my dad. He was an insurance salesman, always on the road. Every day he was traveling. And this was 3:30 in the afternoon. And it was the day after I'd complained about Coach French really riding me. And my dad obviously came to practice that next day without telling me he was going to be there. And he witnessed it firsthand. And that next day, Coach French pulls me into his office and says, well, I guess you went out and told your mommy and daddy, how I treat you. Well, the superintendent called me and said, I got to apologize to you, so I'm sorry, I guess. He said, but this just proves to me how much of a blank you are.
Really a heartfelt apology.
Really was a heartfelt apology. And I was at first, my first reaction was how pissed I was at my parents. I was mad at my mom and dad. I did not want them to go to the superintendent. I did not want them to make a bigger deal of it. I just kind of wanted to let somebody else know that this guy was being a jackass to me. In the end, I'm glad my parents did that. Coach French literally stopped me outside of an Arkansas LSU game in Little Rock years ago. Came up and gave me a hug. And he said, son, I know I gave you hell back when you were in high school, but I'm proud of you from where you are right now. He ended up being the principal at the high school. I'm proud of where you are now, and I hope that I had something to do with it. And I looked at Coach French, and I kid you not, Christy, I said, Coach, you have nothing to do with the man I am today. Nothing. And I walked away from him. He was a jackass. Mike Rice at Rutgers is a jackass. What he did to those kids on that practice floor was so beyond coaching and instructing. It is criminal. I could handle the verbal abuse. Like I said, I'm a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid getting called the P word and an MF by a coach, and it didn't turn me into a bowl of Jell-O. It didn't make me feel like my life was over. But the physical confrontation and stuff, hey, dude, you put your hands on me, it's a little bit different. Football, I don't know why. Grab me by the face mask, it's okay. But basketball, it just is a little bit more personal. When you get in the face of a kid as a basketball coach and you start shoving them around and throwing basketballs at their head like Mike Rice did the Rutgers kids. And, of course, he did throw the gay slurs at these kids. And someone has already brought up on Twitter, if he had dropped an N-word instead of another F word at these kids, there wouldn't even be a discussion. Guy would be gone. So just because he's using homophobic slurs, he was only given a 3-game suspension. He was only fined $50,000. If he had used a racial slur, do you think he would have been allowed to coach her another day? Heck no. But it just goes back to, again, to the point. When you physically are throwing basketballs at players' heads and you're shoving them around, as Vern mentioned earlier, you can grab a player and say, this is where I want you. You need to be here on the blocks on this defense. You can grab a kid by the shoulders and do that. Basketball coaches do that all the time. But when you come up to a kid and shove him like this guy did, if I was one of those kids, I would have beat the living crap out of that coach. If I'm a 6'9", 240-pound kid and that punk-ass coach comes to me and lays his hands on me like that, it would have been over in one shot. So this guy needs to go down. He never should be allowed to coach again. The athletic director, Pernatti or whatever from Rutgers, who looked at these tapes and said, 3 games and $50,000, that's all you need. Fire him. Fire the both of them. Neither one should work with kids ever again. Let it be a lesson. Send a message. This kind of stuff is not going to be allowed. Just because these are grown men over 18 doesn't mean they have to work in an environment and feel beholden to this guy. Yeah, they have to take it because they want playing time. They want to be back on the floor. They don't want to be on the bench. You complain about this guy, you weren't going to see any playing time at Rutgers. Those those guys give. And here we have coaches in our area who do things right, but people around the world are going to say, well, that's just coaches for you. No, it's not. I can't think of one coach in this Caddo, Bossier, Webster, DeSoto, Natchitoches, Lincoln Parish, Cass County, Harrison County, you name it, from Texarkana to Carthage, and all points in between, of one coach who has ever been accused of doing something like this, and who would ever do something like that. And it seems to me that coaches around here are pretty successful. Get their message across without being jackasses. So I am a big proponent of not only firing Mike Rice, firing the athletic director, and keeping them away from coaching ever again. Let them try to make a living let them go work with real men somewhere and try to act like that. That's what I want to see. Let Mike Rice go work for the Piscataway, New Jersey Police Department and treat some of his coworkers like that. Let's see how that goes. Why don't you go work in a oil field and then try to push around a guy in an oil field? See how that goes there, buddy. Go work in a rock quarry with somebody. Push around one of those big boys like that. See if they sit there and kowtow to you. Ain't going to happen. Bullies suck. No matter if you're a coach as a bully, whether you're a kid as a bully, you suck. We're going to be back with more of the Tim Fletcher Show right after this timeout. The Guy Pile line is open and ready for business. Texas 318-GUY-PILE. 318-GUY-PILE. You can call in 320-1130. We're back right after this.